This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is sponsored by Pure Creative Apparel. From logo design to specialty clothing to branded merchandise, the team at Pure Creative Apparel can take your ideas and bring them to life. You can find out more at purecreativeapparel.com, and we thank Pure Creative Apparel for sponsoring this week's show. Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back-of-the-packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast, episode 65. 65. I am your host, Amy.
And I am your trusted sidekick, Dana.
Yes. Welcome this week. We're so glad you're here with us.
We really are.
We hope that your long runs and races have been going well.
And that you were able to avoid the heat if you were under that heat wave that was affecting the I think the bottom southeastern third of the United States.
Yeah, we really expected our training run this weekend to be pretty humid and hot.
And it was.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but we had a great place to do it.
We did.
So we have
some good stuff to talk about. I mean, not a training or a travel run week for us.
No.
So we did a little bit of local travel to vary it up. So we've got some great stuff for folks this week, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
But when you don't have a big race coming up, you know, what are you doing to keep things fresh? What are you doing things to keep training interesting? You know,
it's nice to have a tried and true trail or course in your neighborhood or nearby home that you can use when you need to get mileage in and stay safe, and you know exactly what the mileage is and you can trust it. But to vary it up is always good in training.
And when you've got local 5Ks or 10Ks that you can jump in on at relatively short notice,
yes,
it's kind of nice to be able to do that. And that's exactly what we did this week, knowing that we had I'd say I call it a long run. When you get into double digits, even if it's just in double digits like ours was, I call that a pretty long run. We did a 10 miler this week.
10 miles. 10 miles.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't run it in Grosse Pointe though.
I'm sorry. But that is one of my favorite 80s, 90s movies. Oh, 90s.
I believe that's either 90s or early 2000s, referencing the 80s and 90s a lot.
Yes. Ooh. Yes. Lots of 80s nostalgia, which you know we love. But
yes.
1990s. Okay, I'll quit it. It's a 10-mile run. We did 8.5 on our last long run, and then we had 3 mile in between. You know, so you're not running the long runs every week as a part of our training plan.
Yeah, we talk about the Galloway method a lot here when we're in groups on Facebook. We follow the plans that Jeff sets for.
Yes.
I follow the plan Jeff sets for Amy. Typically, I run with her.
Yes.
And then during the week, I'll sometimes just kind of do my own because I know what I'm wanting to hit as far as
your
total
short
miles
runs?
During the week. Yeah. I think you do more of the drills, like the acceleration gliders and the cadence drills, than I do.
During the week, I'm trying to hit 30 to 45 minutes twice, like Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, depending on the work schedule and all of that. But mixed in there will be the drills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this week, Jeff prescribed a 10 miler for us, or for Amy. And we decided, well, we have pounded out the mileage here in the neighborhood quite a lot here recently, and we wanted a break from that.
Yes. And thinking back to the Tampa Beer Run, the very first time we did it, when we went back to do the winter edition, and when you went to do it last week, that course and that park is something we don't have near our home, but it's not too far from us.
No, and in our city, we live here in Southwest Florida. We don't have a park that has any shade where you can go and run, really. So the linear park that we have here is great. It's about the section we like to run is about a 3-mile section of it, and there's trees along it, but they don't create any shade.
No.
And it is a linear park, so it's always an out and back.
Right.
And I had made mention of the fact to Amy that, hey, while I was at the Tampa Beer Run, I got this flyer, and they were doing another run in Tampa this weekend. And
it's the same organization.
Exactly. Well,
Fun Runs?
Fun Runs LLC. I think they're the race organizer. They were doing this race called the Ice Cream Run.
Yay, a 5K.
Back in Lopez Park, where we were at last weekend where I was at last weekend for the podcast. And this time it was benefiting the Children's Hospital.
Yes, John Hopkins All Children's Hospital. That was the beneficiary.
So we got to talking during the week, and I said, well, it's just a quick up and back. We could go up there, get there a little early, get some miles in ahead of race time, and then when race time hits, we finish our run, and then we're done.
Right? And there's ice cream at the end. There may not be beer, but there's ice cream.
And we can always go find beer.
Yeah.
So we did. We said, you know what? We got to do the run anyway. It'd be nice to do kind of a fun race to support a great charity.
Yes.
Why not?
That's always a good thing.
So we loaded up the car and off we went.
I got off work. We went.
Headed up there. We got a room the night before. Got some great dinner at the Columbia restaurant, which we've also featured on the show.
Yes.
In fact, on the first episode, if you go back and check that out, we
which I have linked in the show notes for this week.
We show you some amazing food from a Tampa staple, which is the Columbia restaurant.
Oh my goodness.
And over the years, the Columbia has expanded throughout Florida. There are multiple locations, one in Sarasota, I believe one in St. Augustine.
Orlando. The Tampa Airport.
Tampa Airport and the Tampa Bay Riverwalk as well. So it is a fantastic place. They always do their food right. That is not our food portion of the show, but again, go back or check the show notes and go back and watch that segment. That was kind of our first experiment with doing video. So, look past some of the audio and check out the food.
And the video.
It
and
is
the commentary.
Fantastic and cannot recommend them enough.
Oh, they're so great. And I feel like we're just weeks away from celebrating our 2nd anniversary. And I know we've talked about that on the last couple of episodes, but I think that just gave me the ability to flash back to the time when we started our little podcast, and the run in Lopez Park gave me the ability to, hey, it was a great idea to get the long run done there, but also just to relive the course. And, like when we were running the 5K, like, oh, there was a beer stop here. There was a beer stop there,
She had FOMO, guys.
I did.
That's really what it comes down to. Amy had a raging case of fear of missing out because she didn't make the Tampa Beer Run the week before.
So you're looking out for me.
I did.
Yeah.
So we got up there, and it's exactly the same course that we talked about last weekend for the Tampa Beer Run. The Lopez Park, which is right near the Tampa Stadium, is a closed loop course, most of which is under oak canopy.
Oh my gosh.
So you have a nice shady course. Yeah. It can get hot depending on what the weather was like. And like I mentioned in our little intro, the most of the country, or at least most of the southeastern United States, was under heat wave advisories.
Yeah.
And I think that they were saying that the projected heat index in Tampa was going to be about 105.
Oh, Lord.
So we decided we were going to get there real early.
And we did.
We got there 2 hours early ahead of the 8:45 start, and we got out and pounded out about the first 7 miles or so of our run. So basically we did those first 7. lined up, knocked out the 5K, and we were done.
Yeah. So, and we got ice cream at the end of it.
Yeah.
Haha.
Instead of setting up a that fenced off area or little barricaded off area like they did last weekend with the food truck and the beer truck and the beer ambulance, they had a little area by one of the pavilions that had a couple of ice cream trucks, or I'm sorry, one ice cream truck and the other was a shaved ice truck.
And there might have been some like ice cream bars or something. We didn't
prepackaged ice cream stuff. That was what they were selling there.
Yeah, we didn't go to that truck. We went to Sunny's Nitro Ice Cream truck.
Shout out to them. This was only the second place I've ever seen that does this.
This harkens back to our episode in Key West, where we did the southernmost half.
Yes.
Last October. And it was Wicked Lick, who had just been open, I don't know, a handful of days or a handful of weeks when we discovered them. And we talked to the owners and got to try some of their great nitro offerings. Yeah.
I was going to say, and if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, we say nitro ice cream. Instead of having like an ice cream base and then putting that in a machine that's slowly cooling it while it's churning. This is basically you have your ice cream base and you're adding that liquid base into, well, they were using KitchenAid stand mixers.
Yeah, they were. They had
right
like
there on
3
the truck
set up, and they all had different colors, so I guess you would know which one was which.
Yeah, and then they are literally adding liquid nitrogen into the mixing bowl, and you're getting that. They've got it spinning and turning, and then it's flash freezing it, and it is they're making it right there.
Yeah, and they had vanilla, they had chocolate, they had black cherry.
Yeah, vanilla, chocolate, and black cherry.
And they had mango too, but we didn't discover that until after we had ordered.
You're right.
Yeah, which, I mean, looked promising. But I'm telling you, like, we got through that 5K and the line was substantially long.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, I say, it was worth it.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Sunny's Nitro Ice Cream, if they're at an event in Tampa, if you're in the Tampa area, check them out. They are doing, like I said, that ice cream, the base they were using was super rich. The cherry that they were using had, I mean, just delicious big chunks of cherry. That's sweet. We both ended up getting the same flavor.
I could have had like 2 or 3 more, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so, and to give you an idea of what they do, you go for your race registration, you pick up your shirt, you get your armband. After you run the race and you come up to the truck, they cut your armband off, and that's how you trade in your armband for your ice cream.
Yeah, and you could purchase additional ice cream.
Sure. But your race entry included 1 ice cream.
Right. And the shirts were like cotton blue shirts with the sponsors and the logo of the race on there. Nice shirt. Yeah, comfortable, soft.
Changed into that after the race because, again, my one-man war on cotton shirts continues on.
Yes. No cotton shirts for you or me, or
not during runs.
Not during runs. Probably for anybody.
Not during runs.
Yeah.
But the race itself, talk a little bit about that. You've been to the Tampa Beer Run before, and I would say that last weekend's was just very similar in terms of the feel and the general vibe that you got from the run. Talk a little bit about this one. What did you think of it?
Well, the course, I thought, they had chip timing.
That was,
different.
That was different. The Tampa Beer Run, they clearly know their audience. They are not doing chip timing for
Nobody
Tampa Beer
is
Run.
in a Tampa Beer Run for time, let me tell you. So there is no, what do you call that, like archway that they, that they set up? That they,
inflatable arch.
Inflatable arch, yes. The inflatable arch was not any Tampa Beer Run that I attended.
And not last week either.
And no chip timing.
No chip timing.
It's like, you get a number so that people know that you're in the run to be able to get the beer, I imagine.
Yeah.
And this had, all I expected was the free ice cream at the end and the T-shirt, included the race entry fee. But they had the inflatable arch, they had the timing mats, and they had a medal.
Which
at the end, which I did not expect because none of the literature on active.com said there would be a medal.
Okay, so and it's a cute little medal.
Yeah.
So you got a finisher's medal, you got your shirt, and you got a free ice cream. I mean, really, how can you go wrong there?
And they had like a backdrop under the pavilion. You could take your picture with your medal and your ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
That was cute. And it wasn't sectioned off, like you said, because in the past, doing the Tampa Beer Run, they would have to section that off, and then that was secured.
That's the wet zone.
Yeah, that's like the wet. You couldn't leave with the beer. Here, man, you can have the ice cream all you want, anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was great. And the area that was kind of near the pavilion that they had reserved for the race had a DJ set up. And
just like last week. It was the same DJ from.
They had a chiropractor set up for assessments, and then they had kids races.
Yes. Now that was one thing, of course, with the theme being Children's Hospital and ice cream, of course, this race was really set up to be very family and kid friendly.
Yeah, and even so, we went to Sunny's Nitro Ice Cream truck, and their mascot is a dog.
And they had their dog there.
And it was adorable. That it was such a family friendly environment. I would say that maybe it was a smaller group of people.
I can tell you from now having been there back-to-back weeks that it was not as big of a race as the Tampa Beer Run.
Okay. Because the Tampa Beer Run is like huge, and the people dressed up as pirates and all that. I mean, like it just seemed like a rowdy bunch. It seemed like a bigger bunch.
Well, it's more of a party. It's more of a party atmosphere.
Yeah.
This was more family focused. I mean, you had a kids 1 mile run.
Yeah.
And you had the baby crawl.
Like that toddler diaper dash, whatever they would call it.
They put it down like a padded mat for the kids to crawl on.
Which was adorable.
Super cute.
And they had awards.
Oh, now that's one thing. They actually had age group awards, and they had some really nice trophies.
Yeah, like they looked like glass.
They had some glass ones, and then they had some big bowls. I was kind of joking. I said, now what they ought to do is serve your ice cream in that.
Oh, I know. I know. Or do you now? If you get that trophy, then do you eat ice cream out of it afterwards?
I would.
You would?
But I would never get that because I'm not going to win my age group.
No, because as your shirt all aptly says from our store on runeatdrink.net,
I'm not slow.
I am making the most of my race entry fee.
Yes, and I made the most of it.
Yes, I'm I have the same shirt, and I think everybody should, at some point have a race where you do make the most out of the race entry fee. And
this is again. This is a park run. You're not going to. You don't need to go and kill it. We're just literally on the Galloway program. Your long week run is not one you're running for time anyway.
No, he told me to walk it.
And you did some interval work, but truthfully, we weren't in a huge hurry, other than to beat the sun.
Yeah, we
wanted to be out of there before the sun got up and the heat started climbing.
Which is why I wanted to do some interval work, honestly. And also I'm trying to feel out different ratios, run, walk, run ratios. Anybody who follows the Galloway program knows you have to feel out what your ratio is going to be to get you to your time goal. Because everybody's different, tall, short. I mean, like I can.
Well, you do a 1-to-4 ratio, and I do a 1-to-5. So
yeah, but there's like 1-to-2, 1-to-3, 1-to-1. You have to feel out what's going to support your goal best to get you to where you want to be for that race. So I'm exploring some different ratios and seeing what works for me. And 1-to-4 works for me right now.
Yeah, that's been real successful for you in the past. And I like the 1-to-5, especially if I'm not really trying to, I'm not going for really big speed gains. I'm just trying to be comfortable, to be able to talk if we're doing any recording.
Oh, yeah.
Since you tend to make me talk now. So
yeah, well, you got to have, you're a co-host.
It's hard to banter.
You are no longer a cameraman only. Okay, just accept it.
All right, well, I need to negotiate a pay raise then.
We'll talk.
So,
does he deserve a pay raise? Pony in, way up. Weigh in, pony up, whatever. Let us know.
Of the world untie.
Sorry.
So, ultimately, this was a training run. It was a fun run. This was a great excuse for us to get back up to Tampa for Amy not to miss out on running around Lopez Park around the time of our anniversary, and we got to support a fantastic charity. Yeah. I didn't see anybody that looked like they were from the charity that we could talk to. I was looking.
I did not either.
But that may have just been we just missed them in the crowd. Possibly. But if you are, wanting to vary up your training wherever you are, hop on active.com,
halfmarathons.net. They're running in the USA.
There are a lot of web resources to tell you things that are going on in your neighborhood or in your town any given weekend.
Right. And again, social media too.
It's a great way to get out and spend some time with fellow runners or run walkers.
Yeah.
It's a great way to support charities in your community.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to give yourself that extrinsic or external motivator to get out and run.
Because sometimes, training runs can be tough. A lot of training runs, unless you're part of a group, like the Tulsa Galloway group is great. All the, like Ventura Galloway, all the ones that I follow on Facebook and Instagram and social media, it's great to have that social aspect of running. And I think that you can offer support to each other. But a lot of the time, running can be sometimes a solitary effort.
That's just it. It's a solo sport, but you do it as a group. It becomes a social event as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So when you can add variety to your training, that I think can only help you.
Oh, absolutely.
Really. So
I mentioned external motivators. And
food.
No.
Food?
Well, we're getting to the food in a second.
Oh, no.
There's a question that's hanging out there.
Oh.
And that is the question we posed at the end of last week's episode, which is what people think about virtual races.
Oh, yes.
And I teased that I was going to say where I came down on it. And I think you might know based on what we did here, even though this isn't a virtual race. I'm a fan of virtual races. I look at that as if you're going to be doing the mileage anyway, and there's a virtual race that has either a shirt or bling that you really like.
And also they can support different organizations, different charities.
Yep, and a lot of the virtual races do. In fact, my work hosted a virtual race for the first time this year for our Do the Right Thing program for kids.
Fantastic.
That was something that we ran for a little bit, and it was pretty successful. We'll be doing it again. But we... I look at them as a way to motivate me to do those training runs that I might otherwise blow off.
Right.
Especially the long run weekends.
Like finding the local races, the virtual races can be very valuable in that way. Give you an extrinsic motivator if you need that.
Yep. So, and I'm not going to lie. I like the bling. I like the medals.
Oh,
especially the cool medals.
Yeah. And I think that will
So what's your... Hold on.
Whoa.
Oh. What's your take on them?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm being honest, I would say that the real extrinsic motivator is the race environment at a live race on race day. And that is the most motivating for me.
You mean the crowd?
Like the crowd, the environment, the fact that you're there with fellow runners. It is, in that race environment, you get a little burst of excitement and energy and pep from maybe like the DJ, the pre-party, all of that. But virtual races can have their place for motivation. So I like that. And I like supporting great organizations, great causes. And if they come with bling, all the better.
Okay, so you do fall in the same.
Yeah. And I think
camp as me.
Do you want to? I think that we should extend the chance for people to weigh in and for them so we can share their feedback.
I know you got a couple of responses on social media from it.
Yeah, but I think that really because we're starting the Disney virtual race series soon. June is our first 5K in that race series. I want to share that feedback around that episode.
Okay, so we are going to ask people to still call in?
Yeah.
Because what it is, folks, is that she really likes the fact that we can now do the audio call.
So excited.
So she wants to hear from you.
I do. Can you just email? Do a little voice memo on your phone, and you can attach it on email to info@runeatdrink.net, or you could call us. You could call us and give us a little message.
We would like to hear from you, and it makes her very happy. She likes the she's a tech nerd. She doesn't let on to that so much, and she loves the fact that we now have a setup that'll let us do this. So
yes,
she'd love to get you guys to call in.
Yes,
if she can find the phone number.
What are you? Don't give me that. I'm like
working.
It's 941-677-2733. And we'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put the number of the show notes. Shoot us an email to info@runeatdrink.net.
Mm-hmm.
Attach your little audio file and tell us where you come down on the question of virtual races.
Or if you don't want to do an audio file or leave us a message, then write it out. We'll be happy to share it.
Yes, email or tweet it at us.
Yeah. Run Eat Drink Pod on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Or Run Eat Drink Podcast on Instagram or Facebook. You could message us.
So you think you might put up a poll or something this week on Facebook so people can actually leave some feedback there too?
Yeah, sure.
That might be a good way to do it. That we just we're just curious kind of where you guys
too.
Yeah. But where do you guys fall on this this question? Because some people think, you're just throwing money away. Others, like us, I could find a reason. I can find a reason to get motivated to run for just about anything. But man, there's nothing better than a nice medal.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
So anyway, that's the run. That is the ice cream run in Lopez Park. Check it out if you're going to be in Tampa. Fun Runs LLC, I believe, is doing other runs in other cities. We saw something about, I think, a Cincinnati beer run that's coming up.
Is that right?
It looked like a similar logo. It might be affiliated. But, vary up that training. Don't get in a rut. Mm-hmm. Find a little race in your town or nearby. Make a day of it. Go run it. Meet some fellow runners and add some variety to your training regimen. You won't regret it.
Definitely.
So,
can we talk about food now?
Okay, fine. Let's talk about food.
Because I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. And listen, I know we talked about the Columbia because we had that the night before our ice cream run.
Yes.
And
the ice cream doesn't count. The ice cream is just kind of a little post-race reward. We got some phenomenal legitimate food.
Last week when you were in Tampa,
mm-hmm.
you were driving by after Chubby's.
Yeah. That Chubby's is in the area of town I grew up in. And while I was there, I just took a drive by some old areas, down near where I used to play Little League baseball, down near MacDill Air Force Base, which I grew up next to. I had dreams of being a F-16 fighter pilot when I was a kid, only to have them dashed when I was in high school. And I got to sit in the cockpit and realized I was too tall.
Oh, height. It's a disadvantage sometimes.
It is. So if you're 6'2", the Air Force has some bad news for you if you're looking to go into the Air Force to be a fighter pilot.
You found Big Ray's Fish Camp.
I did, and I'll tell you how.
In addition to all this nostalgia.
Yeah, I was driving down Inner Bay Boulevard, and I look over and I see this place that's got this big outdoor seating area, and I'm like, what the heck is that?
Mm-hmm.
This used to be just a little store that was really tiny and had been there forever and then closed for a long time, if memory serves me right. And I look over and it's got this big patio between these two buildings with these patio lights strung and tables sitting out there.
Those are nice lights.
And it's called Big Ray's Fish Camp.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this place. It had totally been off my radar. I don't know exactly when it popped up in the years since I've moved out of Tampa. But put the question to my siblings, my sister and my cousin.
Yes.
And my sister's like, I've been there. It's fantastic.
Which was awesome. And then so we could ask her for recommendations from the menu.
Yes. And my sister Sue came through.
Yes. For the win.
So Florida is, of course, known for fantastic seafood.
Yes.
And as we started doing a little more research, aside from my sister's recommendation, come to find out this place is really known for its grouper.
Yeah, it's grouper sandwich, namely.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody online was saying you must have it. It's the best one in the area. Oh my gosh, you won't regret it.
So you know what we did?
We didn't have the grouper sandwich. We did not have the grouper sandwich.
I'm like Ryan Johnson directing a Star Wars movie. Everything
No.
you're expecting me to do, I'm going to do the opposite.
Oh, well, you can tell where he falls on Star Wars now, can't you? We took Sue's recommendations.
Yes.
So we got the buffalo grouper cheeks. So we did have grouper.
Yes. We were going to have grouper when we were there. We just didn't get the sandwich.
And the shrimp corn dog and the fish dip.
Yeah, let's start back at number one. We bought these items and we shared the buffalo grouper cheeks.
The buffalo grouper cheeks, yes.
For grouper cheeks are like what it sounds like, the cheek of the grouper. It's this fantastic fleshy part of the face of the fish. It is tender, juicy. Really just some of the best part of the fish. I mean, all the grouper is fantastic fish regardless.
And this was cooked fantastically well.
Yeah, the order comes with basically think of it as nuggets. They're good sized chunks or nuggets of grouper. They battered these in a cornmeal batter.
And that was great.
That was perfectly crisp, stuck perfectly to the fish. You didn't have it, sliding off, where you had, naked fish and a handful of the breading. And
the breading stood up to the buffalo.
And then they toss those, after they bread them and fry them, they toss them in this buffalo sauce. And they didn't go crazy.
No, it wasn't dripping.
It wasn't dripping. And it wasn't too spicy.
Right. So you could taste the fish, you could taste the corn flavor,
and you got the crunch of the cornmeal,
and it was just like they were topped with some scallions also.
Yeah, right? Scallions or diced green onion or chopped green
onions, and then blue cheese dressing,
blue cheese dip on the side.
Yeah, that was delightful.
Yeah, and this would give you an order of about 10. So if you were doing
to split,
if you're good to split as an appetizer, or if you got the basket that came with fries,
sure,
or coleslaw. So we just got the actual cheeks themselves, and fantastic.
Yeah, because we wanted to try a couple of other things.
And then the second thing.
This was Sue's number one recommendation.
And she did not steer us wrong.
She did not. Now, they have two different corn dog offerings, and this shrimp corn dog was on the special board.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a lobster corn dog, which I am extremely interested to go back and try.
Yep. So if you're picturing what it sounds like,
it's corn dog. It looks like corn dog. Two of them come in an order.
Yep. Two skewers.
It's an appetizer, starter type of portion, and the skewer, it has the breading that looks like a corn dog. It's not the same. There's a corn flavor to that breading, but I don't think it's not the same cornmeal texture as the grouper cheeks.
No, this the best way to describe this would be like they took a cornmeal batter and added beer to it. That'd be the best way I could describe it. It's
fluffy.
It's a little bit fluffy like a beer batter, but it had a slight sweetness and the yellow color that you would get from a normal cornmeal batter. So it's not as thick or as dense as a traditional corn dog batter, but it did have some of that flavor.
Yes, it was thinner.
And much crispier.
But let me tell you about the shrimp inside.
Yeah, so basically the skewer had what, three, maybe 4 shrimp?
They were huge. I think there were 3 huge shrimp, and they were meaty. They were not a fishy tasting at all. They
weren't chewy.
not overcooked.
That was the magic.
Not overly cooked, yeah.
I always get scared of fried shrimp because there's a sweet spot. It's kind of like cooking pork.
Yeah.
If you it's like undercooked, perfect. Boom, you ruined it.
Mm-hmm. And this was perfect.
And this was spot on.
Not chewy. It was not fishy tasting. It was the perfect kind of taste of the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Good way to put it.
And it came with a mustard, honey mustard sauce, but it was not overly sweet. That dipping sauce was not overly mustardy.
Mm-mm.
It wasn't really super tangy. So
No.
I don't know what kind of mustard that might have been made with, but I don't think it was a really tangy or strong flavored mustard.
No, and it had smooth consistency. It wasn't like a coarse ground
No.
mustard.
It was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, corn and shrimp go hand in hand anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about whether it's cornmeal breading, shrimp and grits, this type of a batter that was the cornmeal batter, like a beer batter, and then there's a slight sweetness and a slight tang from that honey mustard.
Yes.
Oh,
it was good.
fantastic.
It was good. But so was the fish dip.
And the fish dip was an unexpected star of the show for me.
You love fish dip. You love a good fish dip.
If you live here in Florida, traditional fish dip or smoked fish dip is a very Florida thing. Fish houses all over the state make their version of it, and typically the standard fish dip is the same thing with minor differences of the type of fish used, or maybe, do you add celery, do you add onion, whatever the case may be. This was a combination of mahi-mahi and amberjack as far as the fish goes. The best way I could describe it is, you have the fish meat itself, but instead of a mayonnaise base, which is typical of most fish dips,
right,
they went with an oil base. And the fish is smoked, topped with paprika. It just had a phenomenal flavor. The texture was great. This was a much more finely chopped fish dip than what you'll often get. Some places leave it a little more flaky, almost chunky.
But
this was much more fine.
This was smooth.
Yeah. And then they didn't over smoke it.
No, I didn't get like, oh my gosh, this is smoky flavor and that's all I can taste.
Again, that's hard to do.
A little bit of the peppery flavor from the spice on top.
Yeah, the paprika.
Paprika. It was a smoother texture, and that oil base just made it different. And I think the saltines that it came with.
That's it. That's the standard way to present them.
That's the standard way, and sometimes
a traditional way.
Sometimes different places will vary it up, but I think that the saltine was a little bit salty, but it was nice in terms of with the bite, just brought out all the flavors in the fish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it was good enough that, I was scraping it off the everything comes in paper trays, and I was scraping it off the paper tray with saltines, and there was
eating
nothing.
the lettuce that it came on, the bed of lettuce.
Yeah. Served on a little bit of chopped romaine. So, I mean, again, fantastic fish dip. If you like a smoked fish dip, it's mahi and amberjack. A lot of places in southern Florida especially use mullet.
Yeah, like smoked mullet, something.
And a lot of native Floridians like myself will eat that up. Some people I don't know if I want to eat mullet. Trust me, if you can ever find a place doing good smoked mullet, it's fantastic.
Very good.
But Big Ray's is doing it their way, which is mahi and amberjack.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. It is so good.
Yeah.
Well, before we go on, I'm going to take a minute to tell you all about our friends at Pure Creative Apparel. Anybody can silkscreen a shirt. Look, we know it's true. I did it as a project in high school. But the team at Pure Creative Apparel is really much more than that. They will take you through the entire process to create your custom items, right from the very beginning with the design of your artwork or company logo, then create mock-ups to show you what the finished product will look like and help you select just the right high-quality name brand clothing or other merchandise on which you're going to place your artwork or your logo. And then they'll get you your items fast. Or if you're not looking to get into the whole online sales thing and you don't want to worry about inventory, packaging, shipping, and all of that, Pure Creative Apparel has a complete e-commerce package available. So whether you're a school, church, or club needing just a few shirts for a special event, or a company looking for a complete branding package, Pure Creative Apparel can help. Find out how by going to purecreativeapparel.com. And we really thank them for their support of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
I'm thirsty.
Well, I have just the thing from 81 Bay Brewing.
I'm thirsty for some beer talk. It's a beer chat. Yeah. You know, I mean, we do a lot of beer on the podcast.
Well, it was a heat index of 104, 105. I can think of no better excuse for beer.
We needed refreshment.
And we found it.
Yes.
We found it at a place called 81 Bay Brewing.
Yes.
And again, another place that was right down the street from where I grew up.
And it's kind of like revitalized that little plaza.
Yeah, there's a plaza at the intersection of Manhattan Avenue and Gandy Boulevard, and in the back of this plaza, there used to be a large building that used to be a department store, and it sat for years empty. And then over the last several years, things have been moving in, and one of the things that moved in as they've divided up the space is 81 Bay Brewing, and that is their tap room as well as their brewery that they use for statewide distribution.
That space is huge.
Yeah, it's enormous.
It's huge. It has an event room in it with artwork from local artists and their links next to the artwork to be able to purchase it, which I think is great. And they had a market, like a farmer's market, flea market type of thing going on inside of the brewery when we were there.
Yep. The fourth Saturday of every month, they do their 81 Bay Market. They have a food truck, and then they have these vendors come out, and it's like you said, like a farmer's market or an artist's market, crafts, that type of thing.
Yeah, and they had like hot sauces, I think, for sale, all sorts of stuff. But the whole environment, I mean, there was plenty of seating. The place is huge. And I also like, since we've already referenced nostalgia in the episode, is that when we walked in and I looked to the right, I saw a gigantic screen and it was set up. You know what I love? It was Frogger.
Yeah, they have a big, like a older style arcade cabinet, but then it's connected to a projector, and the thing had to be 10 feet in diameter, and the whole wall is the screen, so you get to play some Frogger while having a beer.
But then the opposite wall was also set up, and it had an image projected on it like it was under the sea. Yeah, the whole motif in there is kind of like you were looking out at the ocean from inside of a shark's mouth. It was kind of cool. Yeah.
And the part that was if you were peering out from between the sets of teeth in the shark's mouth, that was the part that was being projected and had animations on the wall. It was really cool the way they did it. And they had a huge stage set up right in front of that display, in front of that projected image for music or comedy or whatever live venue. And then, of course, they have the actual brewery in there as well, like the tanks and everything you can see. Yeah. They're kind of in the back and separated from the seating area, but it's all one huge space that's just kind of subdivided. And they had a pretty good size bar as well. Oh yeah, the bar was huge. With a chalkboard set up and a sizable tap list. I want to say that I didn't count them while we were sitting there, but they had 10? Easily, I would probably say it's even more than that. I'm just look at the photos that we took here. You got 4, 8, 11,
There's more.
About 16 or 17 taps easily that are just such a variety of things that they're doing.
Yes.
And I believe that they had Original Sin as a
cider.
Guest tap. That was the blackberry cider. And they also had a non-alcoholic elderflower kombucha. So those were the two offerings that they had that were not theirs. Everything else they brew.
Yeah. So that, I mean, and the names of some of them were really unique.
Unique names and unique flavor combinations.
Unexpected.
I mean, we each did a flight.
Yes. They offered flights of 4 for...
Four, you get a flight of 4 beers or 4 tasters for $10.
$10. Yeah.
So it's a great price. Mm-hmm. And it gave you a chance to try some of the most unique beers we've had all year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would definitely return.
Oh, absolutely.
Based on what we're about to tell you.
Yeah. So
in addition to the vibe.
And we each did a flight. Mm-hmm. So, and we made a conscious choice not to overlap this time.
We tried really hard.
So I've got my 4. She's got her 4.
Yes.
And we're going to give you what we tried and our impressions of each one. So ladies first.
Oh, ladies first. Well, I had one that's called Here Plums the Sun. Here Plums the Sun, which was 5% ABV. And I'm telling you, it looks like, a fuchsia pink. And it had plum, coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, lactose. And it's branded as a sour ale.
Yep.
So
5% ABV.
5%. And
when I read that one, I'm like, that sounds so weird.
Like, I don't think it's going to work. I think we're going to go and like pucker or be like, yeah, plum and coffee don't go together. But strangely, no one flavor overpowered the others.
And they all worked well together.
You got coffee on the nose.
It didn't taste like it smelled. That's true. It was kind of strange. It didn't taste like it smelled, and the color made you think it was going to be all fruit.
Yeah, like tropically fruity.
Yeah,
kind of color. But you got like coffee bean in the flavor, but you also got the tart plum, or that could have been from the lactose. I don't know. A little bit of vanilla, but really the cinnamon and the coffee played off so well from the plum that and as you get more plum, the warmer that beer is, the more it sits. So
now would you get a whole pint of this?
I would.
Okay. And you're not normally a sour person.
No, I don't know what's happening to me, but I would totally get a whole pint. I think that it's kind of easy drinking, nice on a hot day, and it's not overly, the pucker factor is not intense.
No, this one didn't really knock my socks off with
because I let him try some. Yeah,
you were very nice to me.
Yeah, we shared.
All right, so that's your first one.
Yes.
My first one was a beer called Thomas Hefferson, and that is spelled Heffefferson. So yes, this is a Hefeweizen. This one clocked in at 6.1% ABV, so a little bit higher. It was a deep golden color, but had a cloudy appearance. Like many Heffas, this gave you notes of banana and clove, but this had a lingering breadiness to it, which was just really, really appealing to me. And one thing that I really liked about this was that if you buy a pint, $1 from each pint sold benefits the WHAYS Foundation, the Ways Foundation, which assists homeless veterans. And this was what I'd call a light to medium bodied Heffa.
That Ways Foundation, that is, we honor and appreciate your service. Yeah. That's what it stands for.
And I just thought that was super cool. And they had their chalkboard signage up there. It was very patriotic with an eagle and an American flag. And yeah, it was just a nice presentation. That one jumped out at me. I said, shoot, why not? And I didn't regret it. I mean, I like a good Hefeweizen, and this was right up there. I would absolutely go for another one of those.
You would?
I'd do a whole pint of that.
Really? Well, a good Hefeweizen. I like that. Because it's kind of citrusy and easy to drink.
Yeah, there was not any bitterness to this one.
And I was craving a lot of that. I think that factored into the choices I made in my 4. Because the next one that I had, the one that it was also kind of pink in color, and it was a little bit cloudier. It was a little bit cloudier than the last one that I had. It was called the Market Spiked Punch, and it was a tropical pale ale at 5.6%. And when they had it up on the list, on the tap list, they had a picture of the Kool-Aid guy, the Kool-Aid man.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He even said it on the sign. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it was like an adult tropical punch.
This looked like a cloudy red Kool-Aid.
Yes.
That's the best way to describe it.
It's like Kool-Aid. And that is what it tasted like. I had it was sour, but it wasn't too sour.
But it also didn't have it wasn't like it was sweetened.
No,
so
not
you didn't
overly
have a cloyingly sweet.
Wasn't like syrupy. It wasn't really thick. It had like a medium carbonation. So, an adult Kool-Aid punch.
Can't go wrong there.
Can't go wrong.
Well, my next one was kind of an oddball for me. I don't tend to go for fruit beers, but I couldn't resist because I thought the name was catchy, and I happen to like peach. This is called Tangled Up in Brew. This is a 5% ABV lychee and white peach blonde ale. Best way I could describe this would be a slightly cloudy, dark golden ale. Very mild carbonation. This one was a little bit on the sweet side, and to me, the peach really came through. More so than the lychee or the lychee. I'm going to go with lychee.
I didn't even really taste that. I tasted the peach.
Yeah.
When you let me try it.
Because the only other lychee flavored thing I've had is a lychee soda from World of Coca-Cola. And if that were my only exposure to lychee, I would say that I'm not a fan of lychee.
So it was not good, huh?
This beer was fantastic, but that soda was awful.
The soda was awful.
It's from another country, and I don't ever have to eat it or drink it again.
That's true.
So, but this one, the Tangled Up in Brew, again, slightly sweet peach flavor. It was really great on a hot day. And again, 104, 105 heat index. Most of the beers that I picked today were, 5 to 6, although the last one I'm going to finish off with was a little high. But that was just super drinkable, really pleasant, and not so sweet to be like a sweeter cider or what do you call them? Lambic. Nothing like that.
Oh, yeah. Those are really kind of sweet.
Yeah, there was nothing cloying about this, but it was very pleasant.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to vary up the flight a little. So I did go with a darker beer in my next choice with the coffee porter, which is 6% ABV. And it was a partnership with Lucky Goat Coffee. I
believe that's a local roastery.
I don't know. Because it didn't really say it on the board. But it was dark. Like you could not see through that. It had like a light head on it.
It's a Florida roastery out of Tallahassee, Florida.
So somewhat local, keeping it in the state.
Yeah.
So it was more heavily carbonated than other maybe coffee type beers that I've had, coffee porters that I've had. It smelled like coffee beans. It tasted
It did.
like coffee beans. But it wasn't bitter.
I would say that was probably one of the most coffee flavored and coffee
Legit.
Yeah, just everything about that screamed coffee.
Mm-hmm.
That of many of the coffee stouts or porters that you've had before.
Yeah, it was a medium body, so it wasn't really thick, wasn't syrupy, wasn't like that. It was just nice. And I would get a whole pint of that. I don't know if I would get a whole pint of it on a summer day, like we were commenting the higher temperatures.
Yeah.
But it was nice to try because I always want to compare different coffee porters. So I liked it a lot.
Well, I would say if that was a coffee stout, you might have felt it was a little too heavy for the weather. Porters tend to be a lighter body.
Yeah, maybe. So it was just the right amount to give me a taste of it to see how their coffee porter was.
And it was good enough for you to get a whole pint next time?
I would.
Okay.
I would.
Well, I also went a little darker in my next one, or my third selection out of my 4. And I went with the Real Slow Irish Red. This is a Real SLO, Slow Irish Red. 5.5% ABV. And I wrote down in my notes, very deep red.
It was really red. Really red.
Really red, really dark, very mild carbonation, very smooth. This had notes of toasted malt on the very beginning, with a bitterness on the back of the tongue at the end. And I called this a medium body. I mean, this was the most substantial of the 3 beers that I had to that point. But very drinkable. I mean, if you like Irish Reds, I don't think that you'd be disappointed with this one at all.
Yeah, and I love an Irish Red, and that was really good.
And a lot of, depending on the brewery, sometimes you'll get some that are a little too hopped, and you get too much bitterness on them. Yeah. For my taste, anyway. This was not. This left the bitterness. You didn't get the bitterness till after you swallowed.
Okay.
And then it was just kind of hanging out in the back.
Like an aftertaste?
Almost.
Like an aftertaste.
In the back of the back of your tongue.
Yeah.
But
would you get a whole pint?
Absolutely. I can say without a doubt I would get a whole pint of all 3 of those. So and far. I'll tell you about my 4th one in just a second.
Well, the last one I have, Gazumba. Guzumba.
Guzumba. So
like Zumba, but not. And it was by far the highest ABV at 8.5%, and it's marketed as a sweet stout. And it was really dark, and it was a little bit thicker than, say, the coffee porter that I had just come from. And you know what I liked about our bartender is when she brought me the flight, she's like, she numbered them.
Here's the order you might want to consider drinking these in.
So that your palate isn't going like, what? Oh my gosh. So that was really nice.
Yeah,
I like that
stuff.
Yeah, I like that. So this had a thicker body. I got brown sugar and coffee notes, vanilla and caramel, and it was a medium carbonation. And it was a nice little kind of dessert-esque. And apparently it was made with cocoa nibs.
Well, I mean, you look at the signage for it even talks about it. Aged cocoa nibs, Jamaican coffee, vanilla and caramel. And it is a lactose beer. So you're talking about a milk stout. Mm-hmm. So sweet.
It was sweet. It was not bitter, not hoppy. It was a nice little dessert. Like, you know how we used to go and get like beer shakes.
Nice Guys Pizza.
Nice Guys Pizza
used to do beer shakes with certain craft beers like Sam Smith's organic chocolate stout or some others that they would get in.
Yeah.
And they actually used to get a custom made Tahitian vanilla bean ice cream just for Nice Guys. And they would make milkshakes out of that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I feel like this could be a good contender for something like that.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect.
For sure. So it might be a dessert for me. I might not get a whole pint of it. Or maybe I would get a short pour.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Like kind of like the the samplers in the set that we had, that size.
Okay. Well,
so,
I think that
yours.
I'm right in line with you.
Yeah.
My fourth and final selection from the brewery is the Randy Marshmallow, 8.5% ABV peanut butter marshmallow stout. So this is basically a glass of Fluffernutter in a stout. And what can I say? Very dark, completely opaque. I held this up to the door when the door was open and we had the midday sun beaming in. Not a bit of light passing through this thing. Super strong notes of peanut butter. And this was a peanut butter flavor that is probably one of two that I've ever had that I didn't hate.
Yeah, you're hard to please. And I would say that of all the ones that we've tried in the past, you have said it's like an artificial flavor.
Something about, I don't know, and I don't know that the breweries are using an artificial flavor.
No, not necessarily.
It is just, for some reason, peanut butter, like chocolate peanut butter porters or stouts, it's hard to find one that I like where the peanut butter doesn't come off as tasting like a peanut extract.
Yeah.
So and if it tastes like that, I'm like, bleh. Here, take this back. But this was
not that.
No. But really strong notes of peanut butter, sweetness of marshmallow, and toasted malts.
And this was 8.5%.
8.5%. Moderately sweet at the beginning with a bitter finish. And I think that might have been the secret there, was that they weren't going for that cloyingly sweet. This was not as sweet as yours.
Yeah, mine was sweeter.
Yours was not over oppressively sweet, or it wasn't.
No, but I feel like it had more of a brown sugar flavor than this had.
Yes. And that's from the caramel.
Yeah.
But they, in mine, just really great execution on the peanut flavor. Very heavy body.
Did you get a whole lot of marshmallow?
More of almost on the nose.
Okay.
I mean, almost more of the essence of marshmallow. Like they waved a marshmallow by it during the brewing process.
Okay.
Or maybe the brewers are eating marshmallows while brewing. I don't know, but that was very gentle. So you didn't have anything in there that was tasting fake or forced, which was good.
Good.
Because of the heavy body and the high alcohol content and the slight sweetness to it, I'm with you. I'd probably go with a short pour on this one.
Yeah.
Not because it's not awesome, but because it's very heavy.
Or it could be a lovely dessert.
This is a dessert beer.
Yeah.
You're not starting your night with this.
Yeah, this is
because if you're starting your night with this or your afternoon with this, you're not eating lunch or you're not eating dinner,
and you're not driving,
and you're definitely not driving. So those were the 8 selections that we tried and sampled for you. Out of the, like I said, it's 3, 6, 9, 12 in this photo, 13, 15, 17.
It's a lot.
I'm seeing 19.
Yeah.
19 taps here. And that's not counting the oh no, wait.
And we didn't try an IPA, you know?
No, we didn't. We didn't try an IPA this go round.
Yeah, but they had them.
Oh yeah, they have a couple of IPA offerings there, and really I think they're 2 that they're really known for, at least in the Tampa Bay area, being their Lightning Lager and their Fort Brooke Blonde, which we have had in the past at other places. So 81 Bay Brewing, check them out. They are definitely worth your time if you're traveling to the Tampa Bay area.
Or if you see them on a tap list.
And if they're on a tap list, these guys are doing just some really unique flavors. We're going to have pictures of their of some stuff from inside the tap room, including the beers that they had. And check out this beer list. It's just off the wall. These guys are mad scientists.
Yeah.
And their experiments are really paying off.
They are. I would go back. And they had a running club also. Did you know?
Yes, they mentioned when we were talking to the bartender, she said that they have a running club that does what's called plogging.
Plogging. Did you know about plogging? Is what I was going to say.
Did not. PLOGGING, which is basically running and picking up after other people and actually picking up garbage. And they actually have a plogging club. And when they hit certain targets of pounds of garbage collected, they have celebratory parties there at the brewery,
which is awesome.
So we're going to try to maybe hook up with them and try to make one of the plogging events.
Yes.
And cover what they're doing, because this brewery, like many other breweries we run into, they're trying to give back to the community.
Right. In many ways, not just the the dollars they raise for ways, but also through their running club, which seems to be which seems to be a theme, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Good trip. Good trip.
Great. Not too bad for a training week.
Yeah, a little last minute thing that really paid off in the running experience, and to have that done in the in the fantastic seafood we had, and at 8-1 Bay Brewing.
Yes. So we still have another almost 2 weeks of training.
Yeah.
So for the next couple of episodes, we'll be doing some different training runs and varying it up for you guys. But our next travel, quote unquote, travel run is going to be the first of our virtual 5K series.
Yay.
So that's going to be coming soon.
So exciting.
I am too. That's going to be very cool. We're going to pick some awesome destinations for you. We are going to do, since this is a Disney series, we are going to try to do these 3 at or around Disney in the
if we can
greater Orlando area. Yeah. So we'll have some locations chosen very carefully for you so that we can show you some things that, if not off the beaten path, things that you might not know are there.
Right. Or unexpected finds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot to check out up there.
So just a reminder, let us know what your feeling is about virtual races, maybe virtual races you've done that have been really great, that might be around for other runners to take advantage of, a great experience you had, or if you're not really feeling that kind of virtual race vibe, why? What is your take on it?
Yeah, we'd be curious.
Yes. info@runeatdrink.net.
That's info@runeatdrink.net.
Or 941-677-2733.
And we will be hitting you all up throughout the week and asking you to please send us your thoughts.
Or participate in the polls when we throw them up there on Instagram and Facebook.
There you go.
Too. So for this week, yeah.
Well, tell everybody where they can find us.
Yeah, for this week, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Run Eat Drink Podcast, and on Twitter at Run Eat Drink Pod, and our website, of course, at runeatdrink.net.
Check us out. Head over there. Check out all the episodes of the show. Support the show by going over to the store and picking up a koozie or a coaster or a shirt.
Pair of shorts.
Rock some swag. That helps keep the lights on, pay for bandwidth, and, puts gas in the car so we can go on these little road trips.
And if you do get any of our swag from the store, please send us a picture.
Yeah, we love seeing people wearing Run, Eat, Drink swag.
Or post it and tag us.
And that stuff is provided to us designed by the folks at Pure Creative Apparel. They helped us pick out do the logo design and pick out the high quality merchandise that stuff is on. So
they're great.
It is great stuff, and they're great people.
Yeah, and we thank them so much for supporting our show.
We really do.
Yeah. So for now, good luck on your upcoming races and your training runs. And we're glad to be along with you on your commute to work or on your run. And we hope you have a great one.
And we appreciate you listening very much. And we will be talking with you throughout the week on social. So we'll see you on all the social things.
Yeah. Have a great week, everyone.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having a great second year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're at Run, Eat, Drink Pod. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net so you can click on the iTunes link and subscribe so you won't miss a minute where we accomplish, explore, and indulge. Come along with us. See you next time.